Alright, in this last part, we're going to cover dividing polynomials with long division. And again, long division will work for any type of polynomials you have when you're dividing any type of polynomials. Especially when you're in your divisor, right here, the leading coefficient is a number besides 1. So, just like any division, we always check for any missing terms. So let's check for missing terms. So we start off with x to the 4th, and it should go down by 1 for the exponent. So we have x to the 3rd, which is good. After that, we should have x to the 2nd, which we don't have, so I'm just going to put plus 0 x to the 2nd. After that, we should just have x. In this case, we do, so that's good. And then after that, it should be a constant number, so we have that plus 17. So here's the full polynomial with all its terms. So let's set up our work with our divisor. So the divisor will be outside, so 4x minus 3. And then this will be in the inside, so 4x to the 4th minus 3x to the 3rd plus 0x to the 2nd and minus 16x plus 17. And then we're just going to set up our long division work. So again, as a review for what we did last semester in chapter 5. Now, when we're dividing, we're just going to look at the first term in both parts. So looking at that, and I'm going to write the work here. So what's inside? So 4x to the 4th divided by 4x. When I divide, it will be 1x dividing, subtract the exponents. 4 minus 1 would be 3. So 1x to the 3rd, or simply x to the 3rd, multiplied to my divisor. So when I distribute x to the 3rd, I'm going to get 4x to the 4th minus 3x to the 3rd. What I'm going to do is I'm going to bring it over here. Put it in parentheses and then add the minus, because that's what we're going to do. We're going to subtract here. So I'm going to distribute my minus to this. So 4x to the 4th minus 4x to the 4th will cancel out. And then when I distribute this minus to the negative 3x to the 3rd, it will look like negative 3x to the 3rd plus 3x to the 3rd. So 0x to the 3rd. And then I forgot to write x to the 3rd, or 1x to the 3rd up here, because that's what I distribute. And then here I'm going to bring down my 0, x to the 2nd power. So same process, this one right here. So 0x to the 3rd divided by 4x to the 1 power. That will be 0x to the 2nd power. So 0 to the x 2nd power times 4x minus 3. When you distribute that, so it's going to be 0x and add an exponent to the 3rd minus 0x to the 2nd power when I multiply to the minus 3. So 0x to the 2nd power, which I'm going to put right here, 0x to the 2nd power. And notice how I'm lining up with the corresponding exponent. I'm going to bring this over here. Put it in parentheses with the minus, and then repeat the whole process. 0x to the 3rd minus 0x to the 3rd, cancel out. 0x squared, and then when I distribute this minus, it will be plus 0x squared. Still going to be the same thing, 0x squared. And then I'm going to bring down the minus 16x. Alright, I'm going to erase to make more room, but this is basically my work. So it's a repeating cycle. So we're going to start off with 0x squared divided by the 4x. So 0 divided by 4 is 0. X squared divided by x will be x. And now I'm just going to put plus 0x. 0x times my divisor, so 4x minus 3. When I multiply, it will be 0x to the second power, and then to the minus 3 will be minus 0x. Bring it over here. Alright, so 0x squared minus 0x squared will cancel out. And then when I distribute over here, the minus to this minus 0x, it will be negative 16x plus 0x will be negative 16x. And now I'm going to bring down my plus 17. And then repeating the process one more time because we brought down the last number. So we're going to look at the negative 16x. So negative 16x divided by this, so the 4x. So it's going to be negative 4. And we're going to distribute the negative 4 to our divisor. Don't forget, I'm going to put my negative 4 up here. So when I distribute the negative 4 to my divisor, it will be negative 16x and then plus 12. So I'm going to bring it over here. So minus 16x or negative 16x plus 12. Put it in parentheses with the minus. Alright, so when we're distributing the minus to this, it's going to be plus. So it's going to be negative 16x plus 16x. Cancel out. And then when I distribute this minus to the plus 12, it's going to be minus 12. So it's going to be 17 minus 12, which will be 5. And that's our remainder. So my final answer is what we have at the top, including the remainder. So I'm going to write my answer. So first off is x to the third. Since we have 0x squared and 0x, you can skip those and then write what's next, the minus 4. So I'm going to write minus 4 after x to the third. And then my remainder. Since it's positive, I'm going to write plus. Put the remainder on the top, and for the denominator will be my divisor, 4x minus 3. So that's how we write our final answer. Again, any terms that you have a 0 coefficient, you can skip that. But if you include it in your final answer, I would still count it as the same. And then make sure that you include your remainder as the numerator and your divisor as the denominator for your last part. When covering long division, a few simple mistakes is some forget their remainder, and then some would leave out parts in the top part for their final answer, but most importantly, they forget to check for missing terms in the very beginning. If you do not check for missing terms, you're going to get stuck within your work, because as you can see how I line up my corresponding exponents, you will notice that if you don't check for missing terms, your exponents are going to be off, and it's going to be impossible to combine them, because here we combine like terms because the exponents were the same. You won't be able to combine if the exponents are different. So that's why it's always best to check for missing terms. Even though you're going to have 0 coefficient for these missing terms, and sometimes you might have 0 coefficient in your answer. Other cases you may not. So it's always best to check for missing terms.